Smile, be, chat, join for networking.
Hello there, welcome along. This is For Networking TV. It's our second episode and it's great to have your company with us as always. My name's Steve Harlan. With me, of course, the man who is For Networking, Brad Burton. Brad,
Stevie,
great to have you with us.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We've just loved this show. We just loved the first show.
Well, let's go back to the first edition of the program, the first one. It's a month ago now.
Right.
What kind of response have you had?
About over 1,000 views, which is exactly what we expected. And we have some great feedback. And as a result of that feedback, we're intending to make an even bigger and better show. And we're going to continue to do that and evolve the show and listen to our members.
What kind of responses have you had back? I mean, I know they're enjoying it,
sure,
but what kind of things are you planning for in the future? What have they been asking for?
No, I think, well, one of the things that we're going to be doing over at 4 Networking HQ, we're going to be inviting 4 Networking members to come and do foresight. So that's going to form part of 4 Networking TV, 10 or 15 minute insights, not sales pitches, into specific fields. We're also going to be going off studio and out of studio and interviewing people, 4 networkers, insight, in situ, and also some of our partners, which we can talk about later.
Now, what about the business itself? How's that all going? Because 4 Networking, it's integral to a lot of businesses that are out there. They're using it to grow their own individual businesses. Yeah. So how's that going?
Well, you know what? We've had our ups and our downs as any business. We're 9 years in now. And a few years ago, it was choppy. Right now, we're on the ascension and we are growing groups, we're growing members, and it's just an exciting time for 4 Networking. And I think what we're doing right now with developments like 4 Networking TV, it's never been more exciting to be involved in 4 Networking, and this is what we're trying to do, bring the members to the studio and let them tell their story. And
the nice thing about it as well is that you are contactable on not all of this, aren't you? I know it's all output a lot of the time, you Twitter out, but you are a very high-profile figure, you're seen across the country, you go to a lot of the meetings yourself. What kind of response and what do you get when you're out there?
Yeah, I just love 4 Networking. I love 4 Networking, I love the members, I love what this is about. It's a movement, and that sounds a bit odd, that, a bit airy-fairy, but it's a movement, and it's a movement that's making a positive difference across the UK. I don't know. You know, this is amazing. 9 years on, we're doing 4 Networking TV. But the response I get, if anything, people say I'm probably too accessible. So do find me at Brad Burton on Twitter.
All right. Now, you've been out and about, you've been across the country. Absolutely. Not only are you going to all the meetings, but you've been popping along to different people, important, shall we say, business associates, clients, call them what you want. Yeah. I understand you were down in Bristol just recently.
Don't ask me about that, Steve. Roll the VT. So I've just arrived at Bristol and we're on our way to Prysm Group. These are the guys responsible for the biggest business shows in the UK, which is the business show over in Excel and also Olympia. So we're going to give you a behind the scenes look at what goes on there. Yeah, so as you can see over at the business show, everyone's really, really happy. Oh, top secret.
Security.
Security.
Welcome. Hello, got the silence lady. I'm just about to call him. Frodo.
Networking opportunities is unique, is that even though it's a business show, Nick, tell me why the business show is so fabulous for businesses small, medium and large.
Pure content. So the pure content. There's just so much content in it. Seminars, the workshops, the master classes, sheer volume of exhibitors. Right. So, you know, 350 exhibitors offering so many different products and services. You know, what makes it bigger and better than everything else is just sheer volume. Foreign people have to be the ambassadors, the ultimate example of networking being the primary way of starting a business, expanding a business, running a business. And this is just a very big 4N party.
Doc was just saying a second ago, well, in fact, tell me, Doc, you were saying about the old recession, people were battling down the hatches in your view.
Two choices when the recession comes. Give up, pack up, go home, cry about it, or do all you can to survive and stay and dominate. So when you come out the other side, you have the distinct advantage. What we did with our company is specifically go hard, launch lots of new shows, and stay in the game, invest in the company. And so as we come out the other side now, we're in a much stronger position than a lot of other people.
That was my visit over to the business show, and that's what we're going to be doing throughout the show. We're going to be visiting people, visiting companies, visiting partners. The business show, they run 2 shows, one in Excel, one in Olympia, the biggest and the best business shows. They're a partner of ours. We love them, they love us. You'll love them.
And what's great about it as well, we're going to be broadcasting from the show at Excel for those 2 days, and we're looking forward to that.
Exceptional. That's where we met. That's where we met for 4 Networking TV, was at your show. It's an exceptional show, and it does bring people together. And I think, as Nick said, the managing director before, it does bring people together. It's like a big jamboree, and it is my favourite event of the calendar year. If
you don't get the opportunity, or you've missed the opportunity in the past to actually go along, really do make the day out. Make that trip down there. It is terrific for your business. It will help you grow your business. It will truly help you to succeed. Now, we move the programme on a little bit right now. I've got the first of our guests today, Ian Dickson. He's the group leader at 4N. He's been with the business for 5 years. Could be talking about his business. I tell you what, Ian, great to have you with us on 4N TV. For those people that don't know who you are, Ian, just tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for the invite. 4N TV, wow, what a thing. So it just goes to show how networking moves on. 10 years, been a business coach, a motivational speaker. Networking's been at the core of that. 10 years ago, when I very first started, one of the first things that was said to me, if you want to be successful in this industry, get on stage. And networking's a great environment for doing that. So
how do you get the best from networking? I think the question, for most people ask that. So how do you get the best from 4 Networking?
Well, for a start, one of the great things about 4 Networking is that you're not tied inward-facing to a group. So, you know, one of the most unique features about it is that once you get that passport, away you go. You can pretty much go wherever you like. So you're not constrained to those 25, 30 people. Literally thousands and thousands of people it gives you access to.
And you've been a group leader now for around 2 years, been a member for 5?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I was quite happy just networking, and you know, it was almost like my day job is standing on a stage anyway. But to be honest with you, it gives me a great platform. It's a great position, and anybody that is a 4M member that gets an opportunity to get onto what I call the management team, I'd highly recommend it.
So, Ian, what are the big mistakes do you think that people make when they go to any networking event, let alone 4 Networking?
Right, so one of my lines is I see dead people. You know, doing what I do for a living, I tend to see other things. And one of the things when I'm stood up presenting, one of the things I see is that people aren't in the room. We live in a very busy world, so they'll be sat, we're looking at their phones, thinking about emails. So one of the most important things is if you're going to get up and go, be there. So, you know, when the 40-second pitches are going around, listen to what people are saying. So it's important. So networking isn't about selling stuff, it's about connecting. So if you're not in the room, that's a really big mistake.
And what are the key things for success?
Always speak with passion. If you can't be passionate about your business, those 40 seconds give you an opportunity to get your passion across. Don't be a go-getter, be a go-giver. Interconnect people. So you know, you can't necessarily give a referral because you had a sausage with somebody on a Tuesday morning, but what you can do is introduce people. So those kind of things that, to be honest with you, very evident things, but they're still common mistakes.
You said something off camera earlier, which was this. Initially, you didn't get 4 Networking, it didn't work for you. What changed? I mean, you know, how long was it? Was that turning point from it not working?
Oh, years. Years, seriously, years.
So what happened? What's the difference between where you was then and what's changed?
And I bet everybody listening will suffer from the same thing, is that I went networking expecting to get business. And the day I let go of that expectation, and the day I just went to connect and to create a network. You know, one of the lines I say is that your net worth is your network. So once I started to create those networks and stop worrying about getting business, the bizarre thing is the business came. So if you go networking expecting to get business, you know, everybody knows, you know, you sell through the room and all this sort of stuff, but let go of all of it, all expectation, and just go and enjoy working and connecting with other people, and the work will come.
You've got one more, have you? I know you have, but I'm going to ask you, it's that 40-second pitch, isn't it, that everybody does need to have for their business so they can get out there, tell their story. If I was to put you on the spot and say, what's your 40-second pitch?
I was there, Steve. I was there. Go for it. I was going to ask the same question.
You've got to do it.
High five, Steve. Come on.
There we go.
Right, stitched at the last. What happened to the rehearsal, guys?
Don't worry about that.
Right, so one of the most important things to start any 40-second pitch, which again is something that I think often gets missed, is your why. Why are you in business? And for me, that's part of the passion that you bring across. So if you stand up and do the who, what, and how, you're missing the why, and you don't get there at the end of your 40 seconds. So think about what your why is. Why are you an estate agent? Why are you an IFA. So because that's connecting as an individual rather than from a business level.
And if people want to see you on the 4 networking circuit, where should they come? What's your haunting ground? Your hunting ground even?
Right. So I live by the seaside. So I'm down in Portsmouth in Hampshire. We are a flagship group. I'm very proud of that, so have been for a long, long time. But to be honest with you, Hampshire is abundant with great groups. So the whole network is, that's the truth of it. So you don't have to go very far. You don't have to go far to find great groups. So.
I tell you what, it's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, I met you for the first time today. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, and absolutely fascinating as well when you see that if you get it right, if you use what you're doing in the right way. Right. I suppose the thing is, remember the why. Remember why you're there. Remember what you're trying to achieve, and you will succeed.
Steve, I think one of the things about networking is sometimes people have the right ingredients, they don't have the right recipe, and that's the bit that I think what changed with you. You had the right ingredients, you just needed to put them in the right order, and you know, it works. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for coming into the programme. Now, you were talking earlier on about 10 years for the business. And of course,
Steve, 9.
9 years.
Come on, keep up.
Well, I'm trying to say, you know, I'm giving you an extra year there, you know, get a little bit more maturity, but 9 years. Yeah. And you have grown. You've grown from what, starting off in a bedroom?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in a bedroom, a box room. It was me. We had one group and one meeting, and then you fast forward, now we run over 5,000 meetings. But it's not just me. It's not just the Brad Show. We do actually have a 4 Networking HQ and a very small staff there, level of staff. Once again, roll the VT. So this was an old Printworks. It's now 4 Networking, but prior to being a Printworks, it was actually a barracks. This is the officers' mess for a former battalion. Let me just show you this. So that there's the old barracks. This was the old parade ground. And this, where 4 Networking HQ is the old officers' mess.
Hello.
Right, cheerful? Oh, don't ask. I could have given you some warning, but I didn't.
Why are you video?
Don't. This is Di, by the way. Hello, Di.
Hi.
Office manager. That's our gainer. Handles all the help desk. See, I think people, they think we've got a massive central resource, and we do. We have a massive office, only very few people there. Why? Because we're doubly efficient. This picture is one of the most significant photographs in 4 Networking's history. It's a top secret 4 Networking storeroom. Wow. And this is my office, which I am never, or rarely, actually in here.
The sun always shines at 4 Networking. It does what it says it does on the box. Fantastic. And boy, what a place to be now as well. You've got that, you've got your staff there, and of course they're there to support your members, aren't they?
No question, and that's what this is about, members. We're an organisation that puts the members before the organisation, and it was something that I always wanted to do. You know, my experience of networking wasn't great. It wasn't great. It all seemed to be very self-serving. You know, we run an organisation that is a business. We need to make money. Without a business, there's no network. I recognise that, but fundamentally, at its core, 4 Networking, we have a heart, and that's what I think proved there.
Well, you're watching 4 Networking TV. This is our second programme. It's great to have your company. Don't forget, if you want to contact us, you'll find, well, you can tweet Brad if you wish. You can actually follow Brad as well, for that matter. All the details are going to be on the screen. Also, if you go to @4Networking HQ, then you can follow the entire organisation. It's as easy and as straightforward as that. Now, with us right now, we've got Nikki Butlin. She is a lovely lady. She's a 4N regional leader, and she's been with 4N for, well, a little while now, and she's really turned her area, her meetings around. Brad.
Nikki, new girl. How did that happen? Firstly, tell us about your business, Nikki.
My business. I started my business just over 12 months ago. I've got 20 years business experience. I know I don't look it, but my parents were in business, so I kind of grew up around that environment. And a year ago I was in employment, and it just felt the right time to start my own business again, and I needed to network. So there's 3 parts to my Athena Business Services. I run a bookkeeping practice using the Xero cloud accounting software.
We like Xero.
We like Xero. And a business development. I help businesses grow and develop and innovate and bring systems in, and also franchise consultancy.
You know, what's really interesting there is you talk about your systems that you bring in, you are being the product, because with phone networking, when you came into the area, East Anglia, the region, it was desolate. There was nothing quite happening there. And then somewhere along the way, in the last year, you managed to take it from pretty much 0 groups to how many?
I've launched 5 in the last year, and I now look after 8.
And how many flagships have you got?
Got 5 out of 8, and we should have another one soon.
So what's the secret there, Nikki? Tell me.
I don't know. I get asked this. I just think I really love business. I love what I'm doing. I love helping other people with their businesses as well. That's
it, Steve. That is it. Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
No, but I'm serious. Yeah. You know, that's all I've ever had with phone networking, was that enthusiasm. You know, sometimes I didn't know what I was doing, but I had enthusiasm, I had love for this. I think that's what you're bringing to phone networking over in East Anglia.
Yeah. And you kind of think, some days you think, oh, I don't know where the next client's coming from, but phone network's been great for me because it's given me another focus on my business, and I just get out there and we run the groups, and I've got jobs to do within the groups, and you're kind of out there, you're networking, you're not specifically going to show your business off, but you're there representing your business, and the business just kind of flows.
See, that's what Ian said. Because somewhere along the way, if you just relax, things start happening. But if you're just so pent up and looking for it, doesn't necessarily work. Nikki, tell me what successes you've had with phone networking.
With phone networking for my own business? Yeah. Oh my God, I don't think I would.
Brilliant.
Oh, I don't think I would be where I am now. I just took on my first employee a couple of weeks ago at the beginning of the month. I honestly don't think my business would be where it is now without phone networking behind me, or with having that with me.
It's interesting you say that, but when people do turn up, it must be the same issues. You've got 5 groups that are running there at the moment. When people turn up, eight groups. Sorry, I do apologise. Got 8 groups that are running there.
Yes.
There's a lot of people out there who are professional networkers.
Yes.
In fact, I wonder sometimes how they manage to do any work. But when they come to your meetings, what advice are you giving them? How are you maybe instructing them, teaching them, telling them to get the maximum return out of this time that they're investing out of their networking?
Absolutely. Well, people that are seasoned networkers and they've been to other networking groups, or people that are brand new and they've just started their business, I would say, which is exactly what I did 12 months ago, is go out to all of them and find the ones that work for you, because 4N suits me and my personality, but it doesn't necessarily suit everybody else and their personality. And if you're going to do well at networking, you've got to feel comfortable in the environment and the people that you're around, and that's when the business
the thing is with that is we're honest about that as a network. You know, one size doesn't fit all. Nope. We've tried to do that with phone networking, allowing you to go to any of the networking meetings around your schedule. But you're right, some people prefer other formats, and other formats are available.
But I think by doing that and being relaxed about it, that then encourages, people aren't afraid then to come along, and they do feel comfortable in that environment that you're setting out for them, and go, actually,
this is my stock question. I ask everybody that comes on the programme, one way or the other, if it's about networking, what do you think the big mistakes are that people make when they turn up at networking events?
I've seen a lot over the last year. People that come to 1 or 2 groups and they just attend the meetings and they don't do any follow-ups, or they don't get on the 4N's got a fabulous forum. Sometimes we can be on the forum at 10 o'clock at night after finishing a 10 a.m. meeting. The banter's still going on, and it might not seem like we're working, but we're building those relationships up.
That's the thing. There's a great story in phone networking. A guy came up to me, he left phone networking. I bumped into him at a trade show, and I said, "Hello, Dave. Why'd you leave phone networking? I believe you did. You got 19 jobs in a year. My understanding, you got 19. It was videoing jobs." And he said, "That's true, but I found it too much fun, and it didn't feel like work." But you got.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that.
To me, business should be fun.
But there is, isn't it? I mean, business can be fun, can't it?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people lose sight that this is life, and this is not a rehearsal. This is the real thing. And if you're not having fun with what you're doing, then you shouldn't really be doing it.
Absolutely, do something.
Absolutely.
I think what's clear with you, Nikki, in terms of the way you run your business, is you're enjoying it.
I am.
You are a master of your own destiny, and I just love what you've done in that region where it was desolate. Phone networking wasn't working, and I think one of the things that I'd like to see going forward, Steve, is how we get a cloning machine for our Nikki, because we could do with a few more of you just starting around the UK.
But seriously, then, if there is somebody that is in an area, first of all, how do they find out whether there is a need for it in their local area?
Of course. Well, first things first, if you are interested in joining the phone networking team, do go on @phonenetworking HQ and do actually send us a tweet and ask us whether or not there's an opportunity opportunity to, one, start a 4 networking group off, 2, is there a group that's existing already, or 3, just come along as a member and give it a look. And if you are currently a member of 4 Networking, there are team roles available, whether it's a group leader, a marketing coordinator, a group coordinator, area leader, or in Nikki's case, a regional leader. But, you know, do get along. There are always opportunities to get involved in the team, always.
All right, I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
It's the takeaways, and I think this is important. If you were giving some advice to somebody right now, they've been to a meeting maybe once or twice, they've had a look around, maybe they're on their 3rd visit, and they're still thinking to themselves, do you know what, still a bit airy-fairy, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but I'm seeing no return, or I don't feel like I'm getting a return. What are the key things you would say to them that they must remember?
Okay, so if you're running a business, you've got to use some form of marketing to get your sales. End of. So if you're not networking out with people, you've either got to be in a newspaper, a magazine, or on Twitter or Facebook or something. So you've got to be doing something. I have researched all of these areas. I haven't found anything that gives me a better return for my membership in terms of getting leads.
How good, Nikki? How good is Nikki? But this is the thing, passionate. It's just a joy, you know. I'm getting goosebumps right now. When I started this 9 years ago over in Somerset, I'm from Manchester, I live in Somerset. You know, you live 200, 300 miles away from where I started this thing off. And look at it, we've got, you know, honestly, as managing director, I'm just blown away, and it's just lovely to hear this amazing story from an amazing lady.
Well, Nikki, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the programme. It's lovely for you to come all the way up to us as well.
Pleasure.
And to join us here in the studio today. And I think what's lovely about it, from being an outsider looking in and then getting involved, is the absolute enthusiasm and dedication that each and everybody that is involved at 4 Networking actually has. Do you pick them out deliberately? I mean, how do you find the right person to do this?
Steve, is this live?
Yes.
No, we do look for enthusiasm, and I think that's the thing. We do look for enthusiasm within 4 Networking. If you've got love for this network and you understand what we're trying to do, I did say earlier before, it's a movement, and it is, and it's a movement to make a positive difference throughout the UK networking scene. Prior to 4 Networking, I believed it was a little bit stuffy, it was a little bit self-contained, it was a little bit self-perpetuating. It just wasn't right, and now we've got the ingredients right, but we do require team members, and that's what the show's been about today, bringing on the team, these guys and girls who are doing amazing for 4 Networking and doing amazing for their business.
Well, listen, once again, thank you very much for being with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant.
Brad, before we finish off, we've got around about 8 minutes or so left. Just tell us a little bit then about the future, what we've got. We've already talked about the fact that we've got the shows coming up very shortly. You've got a big stand. That's going to be at Excel this year.
Absolutely.
But there's more to the business than that. Where do you see the business going, and how can people get involved, and what kind of ways can 4 Networking help businesses in the UK?
Well, we've been running 4 Networking for about 9 years, and I recently went over to Taunton 4 Networking, and I was talking to members there that have been members since day one, 5 years, 6 years, and the longer you do at 4 Networking, the more it becomes, you've got a reputation, people start hearing about you, and the referrals start coming thick and fast. But what we've got is we're investing heavily, as you can see, with 4 Networking TV. We've got the business networking show that's over at September the 18th over in the Wolverhampton Racecourse. So we are bringing all these things together, and we're doing stuff well and truly beyond just business networking. We also have member offers that are coming soon, which will give every single member massive benefits. I'd love to be able to, and maybe Steve can push me on this, but I would love to be able to talk about it, but we can't right now. But what I will say is it's a network that is reinvesting. It's a network that realises, we've got the new director, Jason, who was on the last show, and he's basically had a good chat with me and a good sit down with me and said, look, what we need to do better is look after the members, because somewhere along the way, as an organisation, it's not like it's intended, but somewhere along the way we've probably forgot that. And one of the questions that I ask anyone who ever says, hey, guess what, there's something wrong with your network, and it's not perfect, far from it, but what I always say to people is this, and it's a great question: is your business perfect? And of course it's not. And people will say, well, why is your business not perfect? Well, I've got problems with cash flow, I've got problems with staff, I've got problems with resource, I've got problems with whatever it be. Well, guess what? So is 4 Networking. But we are trying, we are listening, so do give us the feedback direct to me at Brad Burton, or to 4 Networking at 4 Networking HQ. And just very briefly, what about yourself personally? Are you out and about? Where are you off to over the next 4 weeks or so? Because we're going to be back. There's more 4 Networking TV. We're going to be having other guests who are going to be coming into the studio and joining us here. Maybe it could well be you. If you're already a member of 4 Networking, we're also going to be opening up the Twitter feeds and all the rest of it, be taking some of your questions. Steve, you know, I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be running Brad camps, which people may or may not...
Tell us about Brad Camp. Now, people may have only heard that for the first time right now. What is Brad Camp? What's it all about? How does it help me as a businessman?
Well, you know, Brad Camp, people always ask me for advice or opinions, and I will always give advice on opinions to phone networkers. If somebody, a phone networker, says to me, hey, Brad, can you help me out for 10 minutes? Absolutely no problem, but you've got to understand we've got thousands of phone networking members, and there comes a point when actually I can only do so many 10 minutes a day. So what we've done is come up with Brad Camp, which is a day of effectively training me with 10 people in a small group, bradding them up, really getting them enthused and fired up about the business again. And we did it the other day, the first one. It was amazing, exceptional. But what I was going to say, Steve, is maybe, just maybe, we could have a secret guest in today.
Really?
Why not, Steve?
Another guest on the programme. Listen, we've got a few minutes left. I'll tell you what, we've had Nikki here. As if by magic, we're just going to click our fingers, and I think we're going to bring in Steve the Barman. There you go. We just beamed him in there very quickly. He is Steve the Barman. You may well have heard about him, but Steve, I don't even know your real name. I only know you as Steve the Barman. What is your real name?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's it. It's Steve the Barman. Joining me now is Steve the Barman. Steve the Barman is a phone networking legend. This is a guy who a year ago nobody on a national level knew you, apart from your family. But one year on, Steve, you are an absolute phone networking legend. Tell me about your journey. Tell me about your business. Tell us about your business. Go.
Well, I'm Steve the Barman, and I run a mobile cocktail bar called Thirst First, and basically providing mobile bars for people. But
and how did you end up in phone networking?
Nikki.
The Pied Piper of East Anglia.
Of East Anglia, yeah. No, she invited me along. I kind of knew her for a couple of months before that, but invited me along to the King's Lynn launch, and I haven't looked back since.
Steve, what do you get out of it?
Oh, everything. I realised early on that it wasn't about bookings for me. I would never get bookings for my mobile bars, but I very quickly became a group leader and then an area leader for Cambridgeshire, and my role now as the area leader for Cambridgeshire is literally giving back to all my members. I look after them connect.
But from a business perspective, and let's cut our, I mean, from a social club and from friends and everything like that, there is something very special about 4N. There's no two ways about that. But what about your business? Have you seen your business grow on the back of it?
I've literally been a member for just over a year now, and I did my ROI just for giggles, and I've worked out that I'm actually about 17 grand better off purely because of 4Network. That's not direct bookings from 4Networking. That's everything I've learned from people around me, foresights from people helping me one-to-ones.
And were you a networking individual previously?
Briefly. Casual coffee mornings, that was it.
Interesting.
Going nowhere, really.
So you've now got a national reputation, and you really have got a national reputation, and nobody knows your surname, right, which is cool. No, but nobody does. I don't even know it. Right? As a member, I have no idea. On his invoice, it says Steve the Barman. On his badge, it says Steve the Barman. I have no idea what your surname is, but that's okay, because it's Steve the Barman. So this legendary status that you've got, it's a little bit of fun, but it's working. I'd see people communicating with you on a national level. It's mind-blowing. So how does anyone come into this network and make such an impact? What have they got to do, Steve?
It's just me. There's no facade or anything. It is just literally me. The colourful shirts, the banter. It's all about having fun. Business comes with fun. You
say they're colourful. I say that. None of this. But I think that's the other thing, Steve. What he's doing is he's being himself. And I think this is a network that allows you to be yourself. If I think about me, jeans, t-shirt, trainers, it's a network that allows you to be yourself. I think that's what you're doing. I think that's what your X factor is, your secret. It is a network that has allowed you to be yourself. And you know what? We love this kid.
I tell you what, we've asked everybody that's been on the show today their advice to other 4Networkers that are out there, people that are thinking about getting involved at 4Networking. What would be your advice? You're a year in, it's still fresh in your mind. How have you worked it? How have you used it?
My advice, it's never about selling. You have to realise what your business is capable of. Mine was never about selling my business to anyone else. But I realised what I needed to get out of it. I needed help with my website, with everything else, my accounts, everything. So I knew by helping other people that I would get that back.
Yep.
And that's it. And we get surrounded by people that are coming in all the time to try and sell us stuff, and they disappear, and it doesn't work for them.
It's a complete business support community. That's the thing with it. It's not just referrals, it's not just business, it's a complete business support community.
The complete business support community, that's what 4 Networking is all about. This has been 4 Networking TV. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the programme. We've had some fantastic guests on. Who knows, you could be sitting in one of our guest seats on a future edition of 4 Networking TV. We're going to be having a new programme every month, aren't we?
Absolutely, Steve, as always. And if you are interested in getting involved in 4 Networking TV, do say hello to us on Twitter at Brad Burton, and also say hello on the 4 Networking forum, because that's where we're looking for people, and we're looking for people to who've been members of 4 Networking and who get the best from 4 Networking and actually are willing to share their experiences with 4 Networkers. So what we're going to be doing next time as well is, if you are interested in anything specific, for me to be a roving reporter and actually go and visit people, I'm prepared to do that as well. So it's completely open, it's your show, and we're looking forward to your feedback.
I would like to thank Ian, Nikki and also Steve for coming in on the programme
today. The barman.
And that wraps up today's show. Brad, thanks very much indeed, as always, for inviting me along. My name's Steve Harland. It's been a fantastic show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful. From all the team here at 4 Networking TV, we'll see you next month. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Smile, be, chat, join 4 Networking. Smile, be, chat, join 4 Networking.